Representative Tulsi Gabbard proposed an interesting piece of legislation that would have generated a lot more coverage in a world that made sense. So here's what the bill does. It prevents the United States from arming terrorists. That's it. And this isn't a joke. I'm not kidding. You know, this wasn't like a pithy, I don't know, witty point she's trying to make, like trying to prod the rest of her congresspeople, like a gotcha thing, like, I'm against arming terrorists. Are you for it? Oh, you're for it. Like, no, it wasn't. This is serious. Stop arming terrorists. The Stop Arming Terrorists Act. That's what this is. So listen to this description. H.R. 608, that's the bill, would stop the U.S. government from using taxpayer dollars to directly or indirectly support groups who are allied with and supporting terrorist groups like ISIS and Al-Qaeda in their war to overthrow the Syrian government. The legislation is based on congressional action during the Iran-Contra affair to stop the CIA's illegal arming of rebels in Nicaragua. It is endorsed by Progressive Democrats of America, the U.S. Peace Council, and Veterans for Peace. Okay, so I know a lot of people in my audience know this, but many other people might not know this. The United States has a long history of arming terrorists. So one thing that we did is under Ronald Reagan, we gave money and weapons to the Mujahideen in Afghanistan. Now, why did we do that? Because we hated the Soviet Union so much, and we were so scared of communism that we thought, the enemy of my enemy is my friend. So we said, how about we arm radical Islamists, and they will fight off the big bad Soviets, and it's okay because at least they wouldn't be godless communists. At least they're not godless communists, so give them arms, give them money, and let them do their thing. So as a result of that, man, did we have some awkward moments. So, for example, there were Western papers, a British paper specifically, that described Osama bin Laden as a freedom fighter. Wow. Wow. Now, not only that, there's this now infamous picture of Ronald Reagan meeting with the Mujahideen in the White House. So yes, the Mujahideen later became mostly the Taliban. Wow. So again, this is the history that they don't want to cover it in your textbook in class, in social studies or history. They don't want to bring it up because, ooh, it's icky and it's yucky and it makes us look like shit, because it does make us look like shit. When we align ourselves with jihadists because we think the enemy of my enemy is my friend, what if that's not the case? What if by giving money and weapons to these groups, they will eventually turn on you and then use it against you, which is exactly what happened. So you would think that we learned our lesson. Hey, don't arm radical Islamists and jihadists? Maybe. Well, no, that's not the case. Because what we've done under Obama and now under Trump is we've given money and weapons to rebels in Syria, and they immediately go and turn it over to Al-Qaeda's affiliate in Syria. They give them the weapons. Petraeus came out and just said it. He said, how about we arm Al-Qaeda because we're against ISIS, and Al-Qaeda's against ISIS, so let's just arm Al-Qaeda. Yeah, David, great idea. David Petraeus. Let's give weapons to one jihadist group because they'll fight the other jihadist group, and I bet you that jihadist group won't use the weapons on us. Oh shit, wait, they already did, and they did 9/11 on us? They've already attacked the United States of America? I mean, these are the geniuses that we're dealing with in Washington. The people who, you know how they always, the generals, oh my God, the generals. There's this undue deference to the generals that the Republicans and the Democrats have. Oh, the generals, oh look, he's wearing a nicely pressed uniform. He's got medals on. Oh, please, I'm going to let you make all the decisions. Oh, you want to arm Al-Qaeda? Yes, let's arm Al-Qaeda. What a brilliant idea. The generals. But this is what we're dealing with. Now, not only are we arming them directly in Syria, but we're also arming extremists through Saudi Arabia. They're arming Sunni militias on the ground in Yemen fighting the Shias, the Houthis, and guess what? Who are those Sunni militias? Al-Qaeda. So Saudi Arabia is arming Al-Qaeda in Yemen. They're arming them in Syria. So, and Trump just announced a $110 billion weapons deal. $110 billion weapons deal with Saudi Arabia. I'm tough on radical Islam. That was one of his major things during the campaign. Say it with me, folks. Radical Islamic terrorism. Okay, now that I'm president, where do I go to give the money and weapons to radical Islamists? Please, please. That's what he's doing. That's what he's doing. That's what he's doing. So it's disgusting. We have this close relationship with a terror state, man. It is a terror state, Saudi Arabia. They behead women. They do, but they don't let women drive. They treat them as second-class citizens. They need a guardian. They behead people in the public square for things like witchcraft and sorcery and drug smuggling. Are these things that are worthy of death? They say all atheists are terrorists. Think about that. Probably most of the people who listen to my show are not religious. You are a terrorist. You're a terrorist in the eyes of the Saudi government. And we just gave them $110 billion in weapons. Why would you give them weapons? That makes no sense. That is the dumbest thing I've ever heard in my life. Okay, so this is the most common sense bill I've ever seen. This should be the most non-controversial bill ever, because everybody in Washington, they hate to be viewed as, don't say I'm soft on terror. I voted for 900 wars. Of course I'm not soft on terror. By the way, that doesn't make you strong or a macho person. I voted for wars. Yeah, but the wars you voted for were stupid, made no sense, and there wasn't a direct threat against us. So why are you voting for intervention and pretending that makes you strong on terror? You know what would make you strong on terror? If you voted for this, if you supported this. So now I know what you're thinking. Kyle, come on, this is so obvious. Stop arming terrorists. Like, stop giving weapons to Saudi Arabia. Stop directly arming jihadists and Islamists in Syria. By the way, at least 60% of the rebels in Syria are jihadists, and we've aligned ourselves with them. Trump keeps bombing the Syrian government. But you're thinking, well, come on, what do we have? Does this passed, right? Like, this piece of legislation passed, obviously. Right? Right? Stop arming terrorists. Duh. Right? The bill, not only did it not pass, it has 13 co-sponsors. 13 co-sponsors. 13. There are 435 members of the House of Representatives. It has 13, and 8 of them are Republicans. Are you kidding me? Is this some sort of sick? Democrats, where the fuck are you? Where are you? Where are you? One of your own Congress people, one of your own, steps up and says, I have an idea. Let's stop arming terrorists. And if you think that's hyperbole, seriously, look, we're arming them in Saudi Arabia. We're, through Saudi Arabia, arming them in Yemen and Syria. We're directly arming them in some cases in Syria. Maybe we should stop that. And by the way, you don't think that would cut down on terror attacks? Of course it would. Because you're cutting the funding and the weapons from groups that, yes, have started to do attacks against the West, and they've been now for a while. Look at all the terror attacks happening in Europe. You cut off their funding and their weapons. Cut it off. Cut it off. You'll cut terror attacks for sure. For sure, you're not going to eliminate them because you can never eliminate them, but you can cut it gigantically. 13 co-sponsors, 8 of them Republicans. So let's listen to Representative Gabbard talk about this on the floor of the House. Check it out.
Mr. Speaker, under U.S. law, it is illegal for you or me or any American to provide any type of assistance to Al-Qaeda, ISIS, or other terrorist groups. If we broke this law, we'd be thrown in jail. Yet the U.S. government's been violating this law for years, directly and indirectly supporting allies and partners of groups like Al-Qaeda and ISIS, with money, weapons, intelligence, and other support in their fight to overthrow the Syrian government. A recent New York Times article confirmed that rebel groups supported by the U.S., quote, have entered into battlefield alliances with the affiliate of Al-Qaeda in Syria, formerly known as al-Nusra. The Wall Street Journal reports that rebel groups are, quote, doubling down on their alliance with Al-Qaeda. This alliance has rendered the phrase moderate rebels meaningless. We must stop this madness. We must stop arming terrorists. I'm introducing the Stop Arming Terrorists Act today to prohibit taxpayer dollars from being used to support terrorists. Mr. Speaker, I yield back.
Seems simple enough, doesn't it? Seriously, our tax dollars, that's what it's going for. Our tax dollars. Wouldn't you rather your tax dollars go to Medicare for all? Wouldn't you rather your tax dollars go to free college? A new deal to redo our infrastructure and make it an A+ instead of what it currently is, a D+? Wouldn't you rather your tax dollars go to making sure people in Flint, Michigan, and all across this country have clean water? It is disgusting that only there are 13 co-sponsors of this. It's disgusting. Every representative who's not for this and already a co-sponsor should be ashamed of themselves. In fact, we're so disgusted by this, we're doing a petition. Look, these work. We took Medicare for all. Justice Democrats, Brand New Congress, National Nurses United, and all of you, because you guys are us and we are you, we took it from 72 co-sponsors, Medicare for all, to 112, and counting, by the way, because we put tremendous pressure on all these gross sellouts in Washington to do their goddamn jobs or get voted out. So that's what we're going to do here, too. Go sign the petition right now. justicedemocrats.com/SATA. justicedemocrats.com/SATA. Stop Arming Terrorists Act. That's what that stands for. SATA. Say it again. justicedemocrats.com/SATA. Go sign that petition right now. Guys, look, I'm going a step further, though. You know how I roll. You've seen me do it on air. When I called Dianne Feinstein and said, look, you support Medicare for all or you're going to lose your seat. I mean, it's as simple as that. We'll vote you out. We don't care. I said, look, I'm a progressive host, one of the top progressive shows online, hundreds of thousands of listeners, and if she doesn't vote for it, we're calling the hounds on her and we're going to vote her out. And by the way, at all the town halls, everybody's screaming at her, support Medicare for all, sell out, sell out. So they feel the pressure. So call your congressman or congresswoman. Call them and tell them, why aren't you supporting H.R. 608? Stop arming terrorists. Did you know that when we arm Saudi Arabia, weapons get into the hands of Al-Qaeda and ISIS? Did you know that we've directly armed Syrian rebels tied to Al-Qaeda? Why are you not? Are you in favor of arming Al-Qaeda? Is that what you are? You're in favor of arming jihadists and Islamists. Is that what is wrong? Tell them. We're going to vote you out. If you don't co-sponsor this, we're going to vote you out. We're mobilizing around this issue. Tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands of people are mobilizing around this issue. Because, we're tough on terror. Look, I voted for 79 wars. No, don't vote for them, because that's not in self-defense. That's not helping the problem. That's hurting the problem. That's creating more terrorists. Stop voting for the wars and vote for something that will actually cut back on terror attacks. Stop arming terrorists. H.R. 608. Call your congressperson, say, co-sponsor H.R. 608 or else. If you don't co-sponsor it, we're going to vote you out. Simple as that. We're going to vote you out. We're not interested in voting for you if you don't co-sponsor H.R. 608. This should be the easiest, most layup of all layups of legislation ever. Stop arming terrorists. Nope. 13 co-sponsors. Again, 8 of them are Republicans. By the way, credit, of course, to our great Justice Democrat, Ro Khanna, who is a co-sponsor of this. All of our candidates are on board with not arming terrorists, but we got to force the people already there to the correct position on this. I can't tell you guys how floored I am by this story. Everybody likes to talk about, oh yeah, we got to stop the terror attacks and we got to get tough. That's what we got to do. Democrats, Republicans, everybody. So what do? Vote for more unnecessary wars that will create more terrorists, but they're not in favor of not arming and funding terrorists, literally. So yeah, just keep giving our weapons, money to terrorists as we pretend like we're against terror. they better support this bill. And by the way, let's be clear about something. There are people who are going to try to straw man us and go, Assad lovers. Excuse you? Because a lot of the Syrian rebels are jihadists. So that we don't want to arm and fund rebels, specifically the ones aligned with jihadists, if not flat out are jihadists or radical Islamists, doesn't mean anything about your position on Assad. Oh, we love Assad. No, nobody said that. You're making it up. You could have whatever position you want on Assad and the Syrian government. Nobody's saying he's a good guy. What we're saying is the facts are in about the rebels. At least 60% of them are jihadists. And even putting that part aside, arming Saudi Arabia, an official Wahhabi state, the same ideology as Al-Qaeda and ISIS, why arm them and then let them give money and weapons to jihadists and let them slaughter Yemen, by the way, too, which is what they're doing. They're killing women and children all throughout Yemen. They're doing a blockade of the country. 14 million people are starving right now. So there are going to be a lot of people who try to spin this, it's soft on, Assad, and, you want the dictator to stay in place in the Middle East. Have we not learned the lessons of history? What, were you sleeping through Iraq and Libya? Is that what happened? Saddam was a horrendous guy, but we toppled him, and then there was a power vacuum, and then it was filled with even worse people. So how do you not get this? Maybe the U.S. should stay out of wars that have nothing to do with us. There's a civil war going on in Syria. Why would we get involved? We admittedly don't like either side. That's an invitation to stay the fuck out. So in Iraq, we went in there and toppled Saddam, and what happened? It made the situation worse. It broke the Middle East. Same thing with Gaddafi. Gaddafi was a horrendous dictator. You toppled him, you made the situation worse. Maybe it's not our fucking place to topple dictators in the Middle East. Have we not learned the lessons of Iraq? $7 trillion wasted, and people are still defending the same tactics of regime change that got us in that position. How about no regime change in Syria? And definitely do not arm jihadists and Islamists in the process, which is what we're doing, and only 13 Congress people say, yeah, don't arm terrorists. The rest of them, kind of okay with arming terrorists. So sign the petition and call your congressman. Be polite, by the way. Be polite when you call your congress people, but let them know very clearly. Look, we're all going to vote you out if you don't co-sponsor H.R. 608. It's as simple as that. So get to work, guys. We need you on this. The country needs you on this. The world needs you on this. Because it's your passionate, grassroots, populist left activism that really makes a difference and can change the country and change the world for the better. And if we could actually get this passed, we would be literally preventing terror attacks. We got to get to work. Let's do it right now.